I genuinely enjoy being black. I genuinely enjoy being a black man. I would really enjoy it a lot more if human beings didn't find it necessary to categorize one another based on color or based on caste or anything like that. But being that this is how it is, right? Being that we have collectively decided that race is a thing and that there are different races, I'm glad that black is the race that I am. But even with that being the case, being black has often felt like a burden for me. Like, even beyond the fact that, being a minority in a predominantly white country or America's history with slavery, oppression, and discrimination, like, even beyond that, something about being black feels burdensome to me, even within black culture itself, because in my experience, black culture itself can be pretty oppressive. Like, not even, again, not talking about outside influences oppressing black people, but more so black people oppressing each other and black people saying, well, this is what it means to be black, right? This is the checklist that you have to check off in order to be black. And if you don't fit within this checklist, or if you have any items that don't really fit into the box that we say is blackness, then you're not really black, right? And so why being black has often felt like a burden to me is because I've always felt more than black. You know what I mean? I've always felt like my identity is much bigger than being black, and that being black often was more of a limit placed onto me versus something that kind of empowered me to fully explore who I am as a human being in totality. And I think there's a reason why this is, right? I think for black people, especially in America, we really didn't have spaces of our own. We didn't really have spaces where we were allowed to be our full selves. And so I feel like blackness kind of was birthed out of that. It's like, we're going to put this label on you that really doesn't come from a place of endearment, really doesn't come from a place of empowerment, right? So if you think about the word black, very seldomly does it carry a positive connotation. Like, usually you associate black with negative things, right? You think light is good, dark is bad, white is good, black is bad. And so even that label black as a sort of catch-all for all the people in society that aren't white, that aren't good, that aren't pure, right? Even that in and of itself has like this underlying negativity within it. And I think us black people, we kind of took that, and like we do with other things, we try to make the best out of it, right? So, all right, you're going to call us black, and that's fine. We're going to take this black label, and we're going to make it beautiful. In a lot of ways, we've done that. But I think an unintended consequence of that is that whoever, collectively, we've created this box, which in my opinion is a pretty small box, where all black people have to fit into. And if you don't fit into that black box, then you're kind of excluded from blackness as well, regardless of what your skin color is, right? Regardless of how dark you are. So you've probably heard before, like, if you don't eat fried chicken, or if you don't like watermelon, or if you vote Republican, right, we're going to take your black card, or something else like that. And like, for me, politically, I'm more independent than anything. I wouldn't call myself a Democrat or a Republican. I think it's kind of silly to pick a side, and that's a conversation for another day. But my point is, I feel like if you don't align to the ideology of what being black is within that box, whoever defined that box, then it's like your blackness is threatened. And often felt like my blackness was being threatened because of things like politics, because of things like music. I like all kinds of music, not really country, but besides country, I like pretty much every genre of music, right? I like to hike. I like to be out in nature. I like literature from all different types of authors. I like movies from all different types of directors that tell all different types of stories. I don't just gravitate towards black movies, whatever that is. I mean, kind of when I started my healing journey, I got super into yoga, and this was back in the 2015. And yoga is a lot more popular now. You definitely see a lot more black people practicing yoga nowadays, which is great. But back when I started, you pretty much never saw black people teaching yoga, especially black men, and especially straight black men, which kind of segues into my next point, right? So I kind of identify as an alternative black man. And what that means for me is that I express myself in ways that, again, don't really fit inside the box of what most people would expect a black man to do. I wear a lot of colors. I wear a lot of bright, vibrant colors. I love colors. I don't know. I started wearing skinny jeans before it was popular. I started wearing shorter shorts before it was popular. I like wearing Toms. Like, I have a sense of style that I think a lot of people might associate with either, white people or maybe gay men. And I'm not gay. Like, I'm very straight. And it's funny because oftentimes people would see me doing things like wearing the color pink or doing yoga or taking pictures of flowers and assume, well, you must be gay. When in reality, I'm not at all. I'm just into, I guess, softer things or beautiful things. Like, I'm really into beautiful things. I really deeply appreciate beauty. And it's a shame that for a lot of people, they can see that and can't just compute that, all right, well, this is just a human being, right? Just like me, just like any other human being who appreciates beauty. But if you appreciate beauty in a way that doesn't fit inside like the frame of what a straight black man is supposed to do, then you get your sexuality questioned. So it's like not just the blackness, right? But sexuality and identity as a whole. And so this week on the channel, we're talking about worth and worthiness. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because a part of what made me feel unworthy growing up was blackness, right? And having this alternative sense of blackness, or feeling like I didn't always fit within the blackness box because I have such broad interests. And so I think it's really important to remember that at the end, it's really important to remember that at the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? Black, white, purple, green, blue, yellow. These are kind of like labels and categories that were created from a social standpoint, right? To create these divisions socially so that certain people can have certain privileges that other people can have, or to kind of maintain power within a status quo. But ultimately, we're all human beings. So it's really quite silly to think, well, just because I'm black, I can't do this, or just because I'm white, I can't do this, or just because I'm Hispanic, I can't do this, or just because I'm Asian, I can't do this. Like, it's really silly, it's really limiting, and I think as long as we identify so deeply with these labels that we feel like we can't express ourselves fully, then our worth is going to feel stifled. Our worth is going to feel limited, and our worth is going to feel policed, right, by people outside of ourselves. And that can never be good, because in order for any of us to be as happy as we possibly can, we have to express ourselves fully. And in my opinion, what we are deeper than these flesh suits, what we are deeper than these different colored flesh suits, is this beautiful, vibrant spirit, right? This boundless, infinite spirit that is the full spectrum of color, right? And that wants to express itself as broadly as it possibly can. It hurts to be outcast by any group of people, but I think it hurts especially bad to be outcast by people who look like you, right? Especially if those people are your own family. And I think that's what's so harmful about the whole black identity, especially when it's based on excluding certain things, right? Because if a part of your identity, if a major part of your identity does not fit within what we collectively have decided it means to be black, then regardless of how black you feel, right, regardless of the experiences that you have because of the color of your skin, to your own people, you're not black. And that's crazy. And of course, that would have an effect on your sense of worthiness, right? Of course, that would have an effect on your sense of feeling like you belong if you're not accepted by, white people, and you're also not accepted by black people. And I think that's the issue many of us, quote unquote, alternative black people run into. I've had so many of my black friends tell me about experiences when they were growing up that you may be able to relate to too, where because you speak a certain way, right? Because you articulate your words, because you use a certain vocabulary, you're told by your black friends that you talk white, which is really crazy and like really kind of sad, because What it's saying is that, if you speak with a certain level of elegance, right, that's not black. And what is that really saying about how we see ourselves, right? That we can only speak in lazy ways, that we can only speak using slang. And I love slang. There's a place for it. There's something so beautiful about it. I have no issue with it whatsoever, right? But I think being able to communicate in as many ways as possible should make you a more valuable person, a more worthy person, not a less worthy person, right? So why don't we celebrate the Black people who do speak elegantly, or who can code switch and go from, that kind of talking back to the kind of talking that they might hear at home or hanging out with their friends? And so for me, being Black often felt like a burden because it's just too small of a label. And I mean that with the utmost respect. I love my people. I think so much beauty has been birthed out of pain and suffering. And I never want to discount that. But at the same time, I feel like it would do us all a great service, right? To understand that Black is just that. It's just a label. And it's not even a label that was really given to us as a gift. It's kind of this broken thing that we were handed, and we had to make the best out of it. To fully embrace our worthiness means to fully embrace ourselves, right? To fully embrace our worthiness means that we no longer feel the need to hide or to pretend or to conform just so that we feel accepted within a group. And I think so many of us Black people wear this mask of Blackness because we feel like we won't be accepted any other way. And I can totally understand why that is, especially, in situations where you don't have a broader community, or especially in situations where you don't feel like you fit in with people outside of the Black race. Like, it can make sense to wear a mask then, just so you're not completely isolated. But what I found, and what I would encourage you to do, is to try taking that mask off. Like, try taking the mask off, try being your whole self. And I think you might be pleasantly surprised that you'll attract other people who have similar skin tone to you, and other people who don't have similar skin tone to you, right? But people who you relate with more on a soul level, right? Who will accept you exactly the way that you are. Never be afraid to color outside of the lines. I feel like you owe it to yourself to get outside of the lines, to fully explore who you are inside, right? To understand it yourself, and then to express it outward, and allow the world to see just how beautiful you are, and allow the world to see just how many colors you actually are. So my name is Michael Sinclair. I'm a growth guide. This week on the channel, we're talking about worth and worthiness. I may have one more video on this subject, but even if I don't, I will be back with another video really soon. If this kind of stuff resonates with you, I would love it if you stick around. I'd love it if you drop a comment if you have had a similar experience. And if not, then I hope this video served you in some way, and I'll see you next time. Peace.